Now eventually you do plan to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour, right? Hello? Oh, hello? Yes?
I really hate that man.
Thor Ragnarok is the umpteenth movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but more importantly, it is the third movie in the Thor movies. This is a third Thor movie. It stars basically most of the Marvel characters you know and love from the other movies, but the ones that weren't present in Civil War. So you got Thor, you got Hulk, you got Loki, and you got a bunch of new characters like Jeff Goldblum. Okay, his name is actually the Grandmaster in this movie, but he's basically just playing the same character he does in every other movie. He's just playing Jeff Goldblum. And I'm not complaining about that. Life, finds a way. You are going to have, dinosaurs on this, dinosaur tour. But in all seriousness, this movie's basically just showing what Thor, Loki, and Hulk have been up to ever since, like, Civil War happened, because they weren't present there, and they are big Marvel characters. So a lot of people were like, why aren't they in this movie? This is why they haven't been in this movie, Thor Ragnarok. This movie is basically about how this evil villain, Hela, comes to go to Asgard to take it over and do some bad things to Asgard, and Thor wants to stop this, and he basically ends up on this planet, and he ends up being a gladiator for Jeff Goldblum. And all kinds of crazy things happen. This is more of a crazy comedy than a lot of the other movies. It's like sort of like a Guardians of the Galaxy style comedy. So guys, I was obviously looking forward to this movie. I mean, it's Marvel. I mean, superhero movies are all over the place now. We've been seeing so many superhero films. We've even gone as far as to see a movie about Ant-Man. Who knew who Ant-Man was back in like 2010? Superhero movies are all over the place. Superhero movies aren't really one of my favorite genres though. A lot of people that are into films nowadays are like, we gotta see these superhero movies. The superhero movies are the most important. They're the ones that get the most money at the box office and all that. I don't think they're the greatest genre ever. Most superhero movies to me are like roller coasters. You watch them once, you have a bunch of fun if they're well made and they're well done, unlike Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, but that's a whole nother topic.
That is one big pile of shit.
You have tons of fun with them while you watch them, and you enjoy how well they are made, and then you don't really revisit them again. That seems like the case with most superhero movies for me. Of course, there are some exceptions of superhero movies that are really good and blow the others out of the water. But for the most part, especially with Marvel movies, they're kind of just these enjoyable movies that you watch once and you don't watch again. Example, Doctor Strange. A lot of people thought Doctor Strange was incredible. It was one of the best superhero movies in like the decade or whatever. And I was like, yeah, it was an enjoyable movie, but I never really had the urge to watch it again. I thought it was a fine movie. It had problems, but it was well made and it was enjoyable, and Benedict Cumberbatch was really awesome. Same with Guardians 2 and Spider-Man Homecoming, which also came out this year. I found them to be fun superhero movies that were like roller coasters. Would I watch them a lot of times again? Not really. They do have problems. They don't have as much rewatchability as some of the great superhero movies out there. So every time I see a superhero movie, I'm always looking for a movie that is gonna blow me away. Because it's hard for a superhero movie to blow me away at this point. We're getting so many. I even met one of the screenwriters to Iron Man and several other movies like Cowboys and Aliens and Children of Men. His name is Hawk Otsby. I got to meet with him and speak with him for like 20 minutes straight. And he was talking about how he was kind of annoyed with how huge superhero movies have gotten. And he helped start the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We talked for like 20 minutes straight kind of about that. Even though I like superhero movies, I kind of understand where he was coming from with some of the points that he brought up. My point is, I'm always looking for a superhero movie that blows my mind. It isn't just a dumb, fun, silly movie like a movie like Guardians or Homecoming or X-Men or something like that would be. And Thor Ragnarok is one of those dumb, fun superhero movies where all kinds of crazy stuff happens, but it is the epitome of those ridiculous, crazy, impossible Marvel movies. I had a blast with Thor Ragnarok. I think this is one of the best Marvel movies. I think it's my 5th or 6th favorite movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This movie was a blast from start to finish. There is tons of fun to be had in Thor Ragnarok, and that is mainly due to a really clever script. This script has humor throughout. This is more of a comedy, like I said. This is more like a Guardians tone comedy, and the humor in this movie had me laughing so hard. I constantly had a smile on my face with some of the jokes in this movie. At times, this movie feels more like a How It Should Have Ended episode, like on the How It Should Have Ended YouTube series, where they sort of parody superhero movies and they do things that are extremely ridiculous, like have certain characters meet up that you wouldn't expect to ever meet up ever in a movie. Crazy, impossible things happen in How It Should Have Ended, and there's constantly jokes thrown at you. Thor Ragnarok felt like that at times. Things happened that were so ridiculous and so out of this world surprising that I was just laughing so hard. There are so many humor surprises in this movie, and it is one of the things that I loved about Thor Ragnarok. Because a lot of the time in superhero movies, ridiculous things are happening on screen. The comic book material is super campy, and they kind of just try to make the movie dark and serious even though the characters themselves are really campy and stupid. One of the things I loved about Thor Ragnarok is they so embraced how stupid superhero movies are. Even though I like them and they're tons of fun, if you think about it, they're really ridiculous and over the top. And Thor Ragnarok embraces that. It is like, oh my goodness, superhero movies are so stupid. Let's make fun of them and let's make everything crazy that could possibly be crazy happen. And I loved it. Captain America Winter Soldier, when that movie came out, I finally started to really love Cap. I liked him in Captain America and the Avengers, but it wasn't until Winter Soldier that I was like, oh my gosh, Cap is awesome. This is that movie for Thor, because the other two Thor movies, I've heard some people say they really like them. I don't really. I think they're okay. I barely remember them, actually. I've seen them both once, and it's really hard to remember both movies. They have their moments, but overall, those movies were kind of just forgettable. It was just like Thor doing bland stories and things that were just not very interesting. But in this movie, this one blows the other two out of the water. Thor Ragnarok takes a crap all over Thor the Dark World and the original Thor. This movie is the Civil War to the other Captain America movies, even though Winter Soldier was fantastic. But the thing is, with Marvel trilogies, some of the time, the third movie in the trilogy is often the best. It's not the case with Iron Man, but it is the case with both Thor and Captain America. This movie made me love Thor. There are all kinds of dark things that happen to Thor in this movie, like all kinds of dramatic, dark things. His whole world gets turned around in this movie. And a lot of the time, they play that for comedy, and surprisingly, it works. There were times in Guardians 2 where it just felt like they were making jokes just to make jokes during moments that were supposed to be serious. Thor Ragnarok sort of did that, and for the most part, it really worked well. There are a few scenes here and there that it really didn't work, though. There were a few scenes where I was like, why did you have to make a joke there that could have been a dramatic moment? But for the most part, when they made jokes in this movie, they all hit home. The comedy in this movie is better than Guardians 2, and I think a lot of the comedy in Guardians 2 is very good, but there are times where they overstayed their welcome in Guardians 2, and there are a few times in Thor Ragnarok that they do that, but in Guardians 2 it happened several times, and it was just kind of annoying. Thor Ragnarok, it's only really a nitpick when the comedy gets in the way of the plot and the story and the dramatic moments, because it rarely happens. Seeing Mark Ruffalo back as Hulk in this movie was awesome. We got new sides to this character that we had never seen before. You basically have Bruce Banner, the scientist, who's like this panicky, scared guy who doesn't know anything that's going on because he's been Hulk for 2 years. And then you have Hulk, who is fleshed out way more than he was in the other movies, because in the other movies he didn't talk much, he was just this angry thing that destroyed stuff. In this movie, Hulk himself is a character. Hulk and Bruce Banner in this movie feel like two different characters, and it was really cool. They really showed that Jekyll and Hyde aspect of this character in this movie, and I really liked that. Loki in this movie, as always, is awesome. Do I really have to mention Loki? Loki's the best. He is one of the best Marvel villains. He is one of the best Marvel characters. Loki is awesome in every movie he's in. He's the best part of the other two Thor movies. And his banter with Thor in this movie is so entertaining to see. It is so much fun, and I loved every second of it. There's also some new characters like Jeff Goldblum, who plays Jeff Goldblum, and I loved him in this movie so much. And then there's Karl Urban, who has a small part, but I enjoyed his part in this movie. And then there was Cate Blanchett, who plays the villain. She's very entertaining in this movie. And then there's also the character I can't remember the name of. I'll show a picture of her right here. She was really entertaining in this movie as well. I thought she was a really good addition, and I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be in Avengers Infinity War. I think she is, and if she is, I'd be down for that, because she is a good character. She's really enjoyable to watch on screen, and she has a lot of really funny, sassy moments too. She was a really enjoyable character. Special effects, the action scenes are all really good. Does it get CGI heavy? Of course it does, like every Marvel movie does. They all get so CGI heavy, but it kind of works because they're stupid, crazy movies. And without all the crazy CGI in Marvel movies, you couldn't really pull off all these crazy action sequences. And there are so many crazy action sequences in Thor Ragnarok. They are so much fun to watch. They're some of the best in the MCU. Thor Ragnarok isn't flawless though. Like I said, some of the humor doesn't always work, but most of it does. And then there's Cate Blanchett's character, who every time she was on screen, I was like, Cate Blanchett's doing a good performance. But I didn't care about her character at all. It's like, it's Marvel's kryptonite. They always have bad villains in their movies. Unless you're talking about Loki or Zemo, but usually they always have villains that are really forgetful. And unfortunately, even though Cate Blanchett is one of my favorite actresses, her in this movie, she was kind of just like this character that wanted to take over the world, and she was like, I'm going to take over Asgard, whoa! And at the same time, she also gave a lot of exposition, like, she just like looked at these things in the ceiling of one of these places in Asgard, and she was like, this is how I came to be, and this is how things happen. She was literally just like, you know, telling you the story with words, and there's no, that's exposition. That's not a good thing. It wasn't really much to her, unfortunately, and every time they cut back to her taking over Asgard and stuff, I was kind of just like, go back to Thor and Hulk and Jeff Goldblum and Loki. Go back. Guys, overall, I think this is one of the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. This movie was a blast. It was so much fun. It was incredibly funny. Is it the best movie of all time? No. Does it do anything groundbreaking or amazing for cinema? No. But it is just a very fun, ridiculous, stupid, crazy, hilarious comedy superhero movie, and I had a blast with this film. I'm gonna give Thor Ragnarok an A-. This is one of the best superhero movies of the year. I haven't seen a superhero movie yet this year that I disliked, even though that's coming out pretty soon. Oh boy. So guys, if you like my review of Thor Ragnarok, be sure to like this video, be sure to subscribe, be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I have tons more videos coming your way. I got some special videos coming your way, and all kinds of movie reviews. Oh, I burped. And I can't wait to share the rest of the videos that I have for you for the rest of the year. It's going to be so much fun. Alright guys, I will see you next time. Bye.
See, the Tyrannosaur doesn't obey any set patterns or park schedules. It's the essence of chaos.
I'm still not clear on chaos.
It simply deals with predictability in complex systems. The shorthand is the butterfly effect. A butterfly can flap its wings in Peking, and in Central Park you get rain instead of sunshine.
Why?
Did I go too fast? I go too fast. I did a flyby. No, give me that big glass of water. We're going to conduct an experiment. It should be still. The car's bouncing up and down, but that's okay. It's just an example. Now, put your hand flat like a hieroglyphic. Now, let's say a drop of water falls in your hand. Which way is the drop going to roll off? Over which finger, or over the thumb, or the other side?
Thumb. That's it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, now freeze your hand. Don't move. I'm going to do the same thing. Start with the same place again. Which way is it going to roll off, do you think?
Let's say back. Same way.
Same way. Same back. It changed. Why? Because tiny variations, the orientation of the hairs on your hands.
Hey, Ellen, look at this.
The amount of blood distending your vessels, imperfections in the skin.
Imperfections in the skin?
Microscopic. And never repeat and vastly affect the outcome. That's quantum.
Unpredictability.
All right. There. Look at this. See? I'm right again. Nobody could have predicted that Dr. Grant would suddenly jump out of a moving vehicle.
Alan?
There's another example. See, here I am now by myself, talking to myself. That's chaos theory.